Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Fantastic Friday. How's
Hi,
everybody
everybody.
doing?
Hope everybody has had a really
Woo!
great week. I know that for me and Trevor, it's been a busy week, ups and downs. Trevor, what was your biggest accomplishment this week?
What was my biggest win? I had lots. I think a lot of it as client wins, where our clients are doing so amazing. They're having more energy. They're losing weight. They're feeling good. They're pumping up their ketone levels. They're feeling really good, and that's like that's my big win. Like that's what makes me feel good is when my clients win. And so that's the big thing for me this week for sure. All of our clients are doing really great in our system, so it's
I
fun.
had one of those.
Yeah.
I had a big one of those.
Okay.
So I have a client, Gordon, and he had a stroke. I guess it's two and a half years ago. And when I started going to him, it was December a year ago. So just a little over a year. And he was in a wheelchair. He pretty much paralyzed on his right side almost completely. I mean,
Wow.
very, very, very limited movement on his right side. This week, he got up and he walked without a cane.
Wow, that's amazing. Holy crow, that's insane. Wow,
Yeah.
that's really
He
nice.
walked from his bedroom, out of his bedroom, through the living room, and all the way to the front door, and all the way back to his bedroom. And he did that on Wednesday, and then he did that again today. And it was amazing.
That's huge.
It was
Yeah,
huge.
huge. Yeah.
So go, Gordon.
Go,
So
Gordon. Yes,
proud of you.
Gordon.
And
Woo! Yeah,
talking about he might try to watch. So I wanted to say I'm so proud of you, Gordon.
that's a great
So,
shout out. That's
so
an awesome
amazing.
shout out to Gordon, who does kick ass. That's really
I
cool.
know it
Awesome.
really is. I'm
Yeah.
just so proud.
Yeah.
So we have some triumphs this week. That's really good. Do we have any messages?
Well, just thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys are having an amazing week as well. For everybody that's watching here and everybody that's watching on the replay, appreciate all of your time. Super grateful for you to tune into our show. This is the opportunity for you to ask questions around your health, your body, your biohack into your body fat stores. If you're looking to lose weight, improve your health, all that good stuff, this is the show for you. And if you're wanting to help us out, you can share the show too with your friends and family, because we're looking to grow this show and help other people as well. So, yeah, I guess that's
And
one of my
also,
messages.
don't forget you've got a new program. You put out a new program
I
this week.
did. That's actually one of my wins this week. Is I guess for myself personally and my business, I launched a new program called the 30-day Biohacking Experience, which is amazing. It actually just gives you a little bit of a taste of how we actually can help you lose some body fat and improve your health over 30 days. So I don't know if I could I'll probably drop that link somewhere, maybe underneath this message or underneath this video here, just so if anybody's interested. But yeah, it's great. I'm really wanting people to experience biohacking like yourself, Kelly, and it is one it is the one most wonderful way to fuel your body if you're looking to improve your longevity of your body and health.
Yeah, I mean it helps to I think it helps to get in tune with your body, to listen to your body more. And when we're more in touch with our body, we move better in the world. We interact better, and it's just an easier way, which is a good segue into our topic today, which
Right.
is what's our topic?
Posture. Posture, you know what? I mean, I think posture is one of the things that doesn't get talked about a lot. Everyone's, I know when your mom was like, sit up straight, don't slouch, but it's so true. These types of things that we've learned in our childhood are so true. But bad posture does affect us in lots of different ways. And I know, like with Kelly, you're the posture queen. So I'm going to just divert a lot of this to you. But I also want to talk about posture in terms of how to fix bad posture. And so we definitely have a big topic today to talk about for sure.
Okay, before we get full on into posture, we need to do a little bit of housekeeping. So we put out on social media that we have a trivia question this week. And if any of you guys watching If you stay till the end, we will reveal the answer to this question. And if you get the answer right in the comments, you will get a prize. What's our prize first, Trevor?
Well, I know you're all about the coffee, right? So you're gonna send somebody some amazing coffee. I'm drinking coffee right now. I know it's not your coffee, but it's coffee regardless. And so you're gonna be doing the coffee, and I'm gonna be doing a personalized meal plan for anybody that is jumping on there and typing in the answer to the trivia question.
Fantastic. And our trivia question is going to be,
I think it's what is our favorite childhood movie? Is that it?
That's it. There's one for me, and then there's one for Trevor. So in the comments, if you can put both down and both correctly, then you get free coffee, free personalized meal plan, which is pretty awesome.
I'm going to say one thing here, and this is coming from my favorite movie. Hooah! That's my favorite. Now, if you understand where that comes from, you'll be able to guess the favorite movie that I love. That's my so that comes from my favorite movie. That little like hooah.
You probably did give that away a lot.
You give that away. That's okay.
I have nothing like that to give mine away, and people will probably hear mine and they'll be like, "What?" But I was a kid. I was a kid, and that's why it really was my favorite when I was a kid. I watched it recently, and I was like,
I was like, why did I like this movie? Like, I don't understand.
I still see why I liked it, but I did not like it as much this time around as I did back then.
I mean, perspectives change when you're an adult, right? It's a little bit different, right? So
definitely. Okay, let's delve into our topic today. Our topic is posture, and I think that Trevor is really chomping at the bit. He wants to show you guys a little demo. And if you don't know, Trevor is like the whiteboard king. I mean, you should have an art degree for all the little drawings and all the things that you do.
Well, that's how I do it. Like if you're in my system, if you get into my system, like I teach on this whiteboard. I've had this for about 3.5 years now. And all my videos, I just like draw and write on this whiteboard. So it's very well used. So it's like the best way to do it, right? I just like just drawing stuff and explaining that way. So it's a lot easier than just like words, right? So
and you do a really good job. I think that you do a fantastic job. So what you got back there behind you?
Yeah, so let's dive into it. So I think with posture, I think a lot of us are sort of confused about what good posture should look like, So, for me, when it comes to posture, what we got to focus in on is the core of our body. Okay, now that's where a lot of people, that's where good posture starts. It starts in the hips. Did you realize that, Kelly? It starts in the hips. That's and I think you're a Pilates instructor, right? So like for yourself, I think like you would teach more or less like, hip alignment, right? And so as a personal trainer for myself personally, I was a personal trainer for 14 years. And that's what I focused in on is fixing my clients' biomechanical misalignments. Because as you go through the process of becoming an adult, you can pick up a lot of misalignments in your body, right? And then so when you're trying to, lose weight or you're trying to improve your health, those misalignments can show up and, you get, cracks or creaks and you don't feel good and you're like, oh, what's going on? So what we got to focus in on when you're actually trying to improve your posture is actually starting from the hips. Okay. From the hips. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate this here and I'm going to show you guys what this kind of looks like. I haven't actually stood up and actually seen if I can actually see what my body looks like in the actual, in this. So I'm just going to kind of like move around and like see. Okay. So here's what I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to show you guys two basic demonstrations here. Now, this is actually proper alignment of the body. If you take a look here, can everybody see this here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you take a look at this diagram, this is actually proper alignment of the body. Okay. So here we have our hips. And as you can see, it's flat, right? Like there's essentially the hips are basically, if you can take a look at my hips, like they're not rotated back, they're not rotated forward. They're basically sitting in alignment. It's like a bowling ball cut in half. Okay. And then from here, obviously the spine attaches to the hips, and we have our spine, and then we have our nice little head that's happy, and this is attached to the spine. Right now, if we take a look at the center of gravity, this is the center of gravity. Center of gravity will always push down towards the most aligned part of the body. So if you take a look at the center of gravity actually goes right down to the middle or the midline of our body, right? And it passes through the midline of our hips. So in this particular picture, there's going to be there's no misalignments. Everything is lined up properly. The hips are stacked underneath the shoulders. The hips are underneath the legs properly, and there should be no pain in this person's body if this was a real person. Okay, now the problem is because what happens is we do certain things. Like, for example, I'm just going to kneel down in front of the camera here. We do certain things, like we sit on a computer all day. We work, 8 hours a day at a desk. We're hunched over like this. Our bodies become tight, and that's where misalignments happen. Like muscles become tight, everything becomes really tight, hamstrings become tight, and then what ends up happening is that you actually your hips will shift either forward or backward depending on where your misalignments are. So in this picture right here, this is called an anterior pelvic tilt. Okay, now you see how the hips are actually tilted forward. Okay, and there's a reason for this, because when there's certain muscles if they get tight, they're actually going to push the hips forward, and that's going to cause a lot of pressure and pain in certain areas of the body. Okay, now the other really interesting thing is if you look at the center of gravity and what it's doing, you'll see that the center of gravity actually goes not to the midline of the body like this, but it actually goes to the front of the body, right? Because everything's misaligned. Right, so you have the center of gravity now, it's actually shifted, and it's actually pushing down this way, which means there's going to be a lot of stress on the lower back. Okay, that's a huge one for people, is that there's a lot of people have lower back pain. Mm-hmm. Lower back pain is not because there's something wrong with your back. It's because you have got tight muscles in certain areas of your body that's shifting the pelvis forward. Okay, now that's a huge thing. The other thing too is the actual pelvic tilt will actually drive the shoulders forward. Okay, so you take a look at here. This is, again, another area that's of a concern for a lot of people is neck pain, shoulder pain, headaches. Okay, that's another thing that you got to watch out for when it comes to posture, is that really when it comes to this, is that really, if you want to get rid of headaches, if you want to get rid of, tension headaches or those types of things, it's not about taking more Tylenol, right? Because that's not going to help. This is a Band-Aid solution. It's actually about looking at the hips and getting the hips realigned so that you actually have a good posture, which will help alleviate the tension in your neck area, in your back, upper traps, everything like that. So does that make sense? I know, is that clear as mud?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I thought that's spectacular. So one way to think about your hips, and there's actually a good exercise that you can do while you are laying down to kind of find that
like neutral hip alignment.
Yeah, it's neutral pelvis, but that sweet spot. So if you think of your hands like this in a triangle, and you think of your fingers are going to be down by your pubic bone, and you're laying on your back here, and then the heels of your hands, this part, are going to be on your hips. If you feel right here, the front of your hips. So you've got a triangle right at your pelvis.
Yep. And
then you're on your back and just push into that anterior tilt where your fingers go lower than the heels of your hand. That's anterior.
It would be like this. If I was to essentially do this standing up, you're essentially pushing in, right? Yeah. Because that's you're basic, because this is anterior. If you can see my hips, this is anterior, and I can already feel it in my back.
Most definitely. Oh, all the pressure basically is just going right into your low back.
Yeah. So I feel that in my back, and I could actually feel that tension. So have my hands underneath here and then push. If I was laying on the ground, I would push my pelvis into my hands so I could actually see and feel what a neutral pelvis would actually feel like. And if you can see how my hips actually rotate, like here's my hip bone, right? So you can see how that actually works. You push,
Yes.
and you can actually feel the actual pelvis moving. And there it actually is. If you look at that, there's my hip bone right there. That's neutral alignment with your hips.
So the way I like to explain it in my classes is you go into the anterior where your fingers are lower and the heels of your hand are higher. And then take that in the opposite extreme where your hands, the tips of your fingers come up and your heels are down. That's your posterior.
Mm-hmm.
And then what you want is to try to find that middle ground where it's even. And we like to say, pretend like you're holding a bowl of soup and you're not wanting the soup to
Right.
tip out, to come out of the front, and you're not wanting the soup to tip out of the back. So find that laying down, you'll have just a little space at your low back. And then try to, when you get up to stand, try to hold that position and practice that. That is a good kind of little test. But here's the thing with posture. First off, there's no perfect posture. There's no human being on earth that has perfect posture. So you guys don't stress out because we're all built a little bit differently, and there's really no way to ever gain absolutely perfect posture because we're human. We're not perfect, but there are certainly things that we can work toward, but we do have a lot of things going against us in posture. And Trevor, you want to kind of...
Yeah, I mean, in regards to fixing posture, there's a few things that you can do, and I'll show you guys a few tips and tricks in regards to fixing posture. I think that's really important. First things, you got to obviously know where you're at when it comes to your own posture, right? So the really quick test to do in this, and again, like I could turn my camera and just show you guys, but what you want to do is actually push yourself right up against a wall, right? And you actually want to have your heels up against the wall and your shoulders up against the wall. And you may not be able to stand absolutely erect against a wall. And that's because your posture is really off, right? It may be like really uncomfortable, right? So like if I was to actually turn my camera here and show you guys what this might actually look like, I'm going to turn it against this wall here just so that there's my lovely little white light there. Okay, so if I was to go up against the wall, okay, and like push myself up, right? If I was to take a step away and move towards here, that's pretty decent. But what ends up happening is like we got tightness in our body, we've got hips that are misaligned, and then so when you try to push yourself back up against the wall, it's like, oh my God, it's like, it's hard to do, right? But what you want to focus in on when it comes to posture and fixing the posture is the neutral hips, like we were talking about. And then you always want to look at your shoulder girdle, okay? Because shoulder posture is something that doesn't get talked about a lot. Shoulder posture is when we kind of got this forward shoulder roll going on. I don't know, Kelly, you know what I'm talking about here, where we kind of walk around
I talk about shoulders all the time. My people are always like, I hear your voice in my head all the time. Watch your shoulders, get your shoulders back. So
right. Yeah,
definitely.
absolutely. Right. And so that's the biggest thing is like, computer work is really bad for this because we all sit like this for 6, 7, 8 hours a day. And then when we get up, we're like this, right? You're like, holy crow, and then so what you want to focus in on, real world stuff, if we want to talk real world, is that taking a break from the computer and starting to just try to strengthen this area back here in between the shoulder blades. So even if you just go back and forth a little bit every 20, 30 minutes, just to kind of wake up those muscles back there so that, you're sitting up instead of slouching over, right? And you're basically strengthening those muscles in the back in between your shoulder blades so that, posture is really more like that, right? Where you more are training the muscles to basically you're training your body to where it should be, right? That's key. That is key.
So a few things to think about. You just kind of hinted about computers and all. One thing that we don't think about our posture a lot is most of our posture we learn from our parents and the people that we grow up around. You look at your family, they'll all kind of tend to have a very similar posture. And so, you adults out there, I want you to think about what, how you're holding yourself is how more than likely your kids will hold themselves as well. So that's a big thing. A lot of the way we carry ourselves is learned behavior. And then also with the invention of the computer, like you said, we're all in that hunched over position. But then there are some other things that are affecting our posture a lot as well. And, these are things that we do all the time that we don't think about also, like, driving in a car. You're usually kind of like off to one side, and then you're using, if you're, in the US, you're using your right foot on the gas. We're in that position a lot, which is kind of that's not a natural position to be in. Our careers, different careers have different postures. I think of hairdressers are always standing like, yeah, exactly, like this. And I know like hairdressers just seem to have
this is all
a lot of issues with their shoulders. And so there's a lot to think about when it comes to posture. So Trevor, I know that you gave the row idea of strengthening your back.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts for what people can do?
Yeah, I'm just gonna move my computer back here so you guys can see my diagram, because I want to talk about how to fix things, right? Because it's all good and dandy to say, yeah, you've got bad posture, but what do you do to actually fix it, right? And that's kind of what I want to talk about. And we can talk about, if I can get this right here. Yeah, I think that looks about right. We can talk about, what people could do out there to fix poor posture, right? So one thing I wanted you to realize is that it's not an overnight fix, okay? Like fixing posture takes time. It takes, sort of like, it takes a schedule of like, okay, strengthening muscles on this day and then stretching muscles, because the body works in basically like it basically works so that you need to strengthen one side of the body and stretch the other side of the body, right? Basically it works in unison, right? If one side of the body is tight, the other is going to be basically relaxed or weak, right? So what we got to focus in on when you are actually fixing posture is strengthening certain muscles and stretching out other muscles. That's really important. So basically it's taking like, if I could talk about like routines, basically what I would do is I would have a certain amount of days in the week where I would be stretching certain muscles, and then other days of the week where I would be working on strengthening certain muscles, because that way you can balance the body out, because the body works in balance. It works in a series of homeostatic balances, meaning it likes to be balanced, right? And if something is off in the body, you're going to feel pain, and eventually you'll succumb to an injury, right? That's where, like, for example, if you're down in Canada, we have snow, but if you're shoveling snow and suddenly you hurt your back, well, it's not because of the snow. It's because there was a misalignment in your body that caused the body to be off. And then you started shoveling snow, and then that just threw the body off and you got an injury. So what we got to focus in on, I'm going to actually come back to my diagram. So what we want to focus in on is when it comes to pulling your body back into alignment, it really starts in the core area of your body here. So it starts first with doing core work. Now, obviously, Kelly, I know you're really into core work. So this is going to be, in your work, in your one of your strengths. So we want to focus in on strengthening your abdominal area, but also at the same time, we want to stretch out your lower back. So many people have tight erector spinae, which is your lower back. and very weak core muscles. So we want to make sure that you actually are balancing that part of the body out. So strengthening your core, stretching out your lower back. If you have tight back muscles, you should not be doing any strengthening for your lower back, because that's just going to aggravate the issue. You're just going to, right? You want to stretch out the lower back muscles and strengthen the core. That's going to help pull the hips back into alignment. And then so what you want to do is, every second day, or say like on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you're working on core work. And on say Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, you're working on stretching, right? So that's what I would do. And then in here, we want to work on stretching out your hamstrings, because so many people sit all day long, but that sitting tightens the hamstrings, right? So like if you could imagine, if my leg is bent all day, my hamstrings are contracted all the time, and that tightens them up all the time. So like a lot of people are walking around with super tight hamstrings. They can't like bend over properly because the hamstrings are so tight, right? So you need to add in the stretching the hamstrings out. Last but not least, in the upper body, what I want to focus in on is strengthening your mid-fiber traps, okay? A lot of people have headaches because they got such tight upper traps right here, kind of like leading up here. They get lots of tension headaches, okay? So, in regards to releasing that, what we want to do is you actually want to be like stretching this area out. Now, if I was a personal trainer, I used to actually go physically behind my clients and stretch out these elevators, because these become so tight that everyone's kind of walking around like this and then getting tension headaches because they haven't relaxed. These muscles are basically doing so much work, right? And then the mid-fiber traps in between the shoulder blades are so weak that they can't hold the shoulders back. So what you want to do is you want to strengthen those muscles in between your shoulder blade. You want to stretch these muscles out, and then you want to stretch your chest out, right? Because so many people have tight chest muscles. They pull in like this, so that they're kind of sitting like this, right? And it's they're kind of like this posture, like 8 hours a day, which is ouch, right? So, it's basically just, when it comes to fixing these things, it really is just about strategically stretching and strengthening certain muscles to help pull everything back into alignment. Now, again, I'm in Canada and Kelly is over in the States, so it's really challenging to, explain all of this on camera. But if you do need help with that, you need to find a physiotherapist or somebody in your area that can actually help you with that, or design a bit of a program around that too.
Yeah. A couple of things with that, and this one's directed mostly at men. I mean, there are women who are certainly real big at strengthening their pecs and their upper, the front of their body. But for men, they have a tendency to really want to strengthen the front part. Right. And just so you know, what that's doing is that's just pulling all of this forward. So you guys that are so big on push-ups and all that stuff, work on strengthening your back. You want to try to have it be even from the front. And like if you were to take a string and have it go from shoulder to shoulder, you kind of want both strings to be the same length, is kind of what you're going for. And another thing is, when we talk about shoulders back, what happens? People immediately, you say shoulders back. Oh, okay. They do this. And then what has happened? They've totally lost this here.
Yeah. Yes.
And
yeah.
So you've got to learn to find that balance of, and I use the cue a lot, pull your ribs down towards your pelvis. So you still want to keep this wide. You still want to keep your two strings the same length up here, but you don't want to lose this. And so I always kind of use that imagery of pulling your ribs down towards your pelvis in the front, so that you've got that balance going on with both of those areas.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's actually really good, Kelly, because I do the same sort of thing. It's really about shoulders back, tuck the pelvis. That's really what this is all about. Shoulders back, tuck the pelvis. Because if it's just shoulders back, you forget about the pelvis, and the pelvis, then that creates more of a misalignment. So you just want to make sure that you tuck the pelvis underneath the body, right? And then shoulders back. What I used to do all of the time, I used to actually practice this standing in line when I was paying for groceries. I'd be going grocery shopping, and then I would practice this. as I was waiting, I would tighten my abs, tuck my pelvis, bring the shoulders back, and see how long I could hold it, and see if I could actually hold it until I get to the cashier, right? Because that's really the key is really when it comes to posture, it's about like doing this during like, certain activities. Like it's about like doing this throughout your life, not just practicing it once and being like, oh, that's nice, right? Like lifelong activities, right? So like when you're paying for groceries, when you're waiting for your kids, when you're going out and, going to whatever your buddy's place, like practice good posture. That's really important. It's kind of like having it in the back of your mind, like, oh yeah, that's right. Shoulders back, tuck the pelvis, shoulders back, tuck the pelvis. And you have that sort of drill happening in the back of your mind.
Now, when you say tuck the pelvis, I just want to make sure people understand so they don't go into a standing posterior tilt.
Right.
You don't want to tuck the pelvis so much that you're, like hyperextended
Right.
out.
You're like, you're this,
Yeah.
right? Like you're
No,
just like,
we definitely don't want that. He's
yeah.
saying tuck the pelvis to where you don't have an extreme anterior tilt of your pelvis, like we just talked about. Another thing, and I think this is an issue that probably needs to be addressed early, like with children. Really, I wish they would start teaching posture in school, because it really starts when we're kids. And if we started thinking about these things and didn't wait until we were adults to fix them, we'd have a lot less issues going on. But one of the things is, along with the computer and all that, we've got this forward head syndrome that has just gotten ridiculous. So I use this cue a lot. If you find the bottom of your skull, and this is another one that you can do up against a wall, find the bottom of your skull here and try to stand. Your back's going to be up against the wall. Try to get that bottom part of your skull up against the wall. And your chin, I'll say also, pretend like you've got a golf ball between your chin and your chest, and you're trying to hold that golf ball and keep this point of your head into the wall. That's a good way to practice getting your head back. And it's interesting because I'll have a lot of older clients, and they simply can't get there.
Yeah.
And so that's why I say, start as kids, start as early adults, thinking and working on these things, because that's another thing that, creates so much tension in your neck. And actually, when you hold your golf ball, you send your chin back, it feels so good on your neck to me.
Well, it does stretch those muscles, actually, right? Because this actually tightens the muscles. But what I used to do when I was a trainer is I used to have, maybe 10, 15 minutes at the end after a session. I said, listen, let's work on some neck mobility, neck stretching. All you're going to do really simply is create a double chin, put your 2 fingers here, push your neck back, or create a double chin, right? And, it's just like this. That's all it is, like pushing your neck back, and it actually alleviates a lot of the stress and tension back here.
Feels so good. Feels amazing. But so here is the kicker. Here's the kicker to all of this is we're talking about finding all these positions, you need to be in this position. But one of the very best things that you can do for your posture is just move in all planes, in all positions, and your body will start to naturally kind of find that optimal place. It's a stagnant society that is creating so much of these posture issues.
Well, the worst, 100% agree with you, Kelly. And really what it boils down to is sitting actually degenerates our posture. So if you sit too long, you're actually teaching your body the wrong mechanism for holding itself, right? So if you're actually wanting to improve posture, you're right, is actually become more active. And actually, like the easiest thing that I would do if you were looking at working on your posture is actually walking and going for a 15, 20-minute walk and actually feeling what your body is doing as you're walking, right? Not just walking to walk, but just walking with your shoulders back, your hips underneath you, like kind of feeling what's happening inside your body. because then you basically you're going against the whole sitting all the time, right? Because if you're sitting for 8 hours a day, or you've got a desk job, I would actually be looking at doing like two walks so that you can actually counteract sitting all day.
I'm going to agree with you with that to a point. I'm a huge advocate of walking. I'm a lifelong runner, as you are too, Trevor. But there is something to think about with that. You are in that frontal plane of movement, and guess what? We tend to flex everything forward in this direction. So guess what? You're strengthening all of these front muscles. What I suggest, yes, of course, do your walking and all that stuff, but do exercises where you're in the lateral, doing
Transverse is sagittal plane.
Transverse, you're twisting, you're rotating. We need to be doing it all. And do think, I'm certainly an advocate for walking. It's good for your mental health. It's good for cardiovascular, but you are in that
frontal plane.
Frontal plane of movement, and you need to counterbalance that out. And I think that's what people forget. And just being in that frontal plane of movement all the time weakens a lot of other muscles that need to be working and strong.
Yep. Yeah, I used to do lots of wood chops and everything with my clients where it's like you're working the transverse plane, you're working different areas, you're working the sagittal, everything like this with the twisting, right? So it's not just working in the front, right? Yeah.
Well, I love it. Yeah. And I wish everybody would get as excited about all this as me and you, Trevor.
We kind of like geek out on this kind of stuff. I don't know. Like,
totally. I was just showing you all my books on posture.
A lot of books on posture. Yeah. Yeah.
It's one of those areas that there's so much information, and really we don't want to overwhelm you guys by any means. We just want to encourage you to get out and think about these things, and just be more in tune with your body and how it's moving in the world.
I think that's really true. I mean, really, I think the mind muscle connection is really amazing. Like if you can get your mind into your body and feel what your body is doing, right? You'll be able to auto correct, right? Like I think the body is very smart, right? Like it wants to sit in a natural position, right? But we're sort of forcing the body to do things it's not naturally wanting to do, like sit for all the time, for computer work all the time. So if we can just feel what our body is doing and sort of like naturally let the body do what it needs to do, it'll be a lot easier, right? I think that's the thing. And little small steps, right? Like I said at the beginning, this isn't going to be fixed overnight. Like no one's going to fix posture overnight. It takes like 3, 4, 5, 6 months of just consistent, like going at it over and over and over again, right? So where you can naturally transition from here to here.
Another thing that we didn't even get into, and I don't think we should get into it today. I think it actually could be a whole nother day, and it could be kind of connected in with some of our mindset stuff. But our posture is hugely affected by the way we feel about ourselves. And it's so interesting because you can tell someone who may not have that great of self-esteem, you can tell them to sit taller and pull their shoulders back, and almost immediately it creates chemicals in your body to make you feel more powerful and make you feel stronger and more confident.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. For sure. There's lots of studies that show that. Absolutely. For sure. Where it's how you hold your body actually affects the actual receptors in your brain, where it's going to fire out more feel good neurotransmitters where you feel better, right? Like if you're holding yourself like this all day, I don't even feel good in this position, right? So imagine feeling like, it just definitely just kicks off things in your brain like crazy. Absolutely. Yeah.
One thing I do want to add though, that I do think is important, especially for, someone, elderly, people with, low self-worth, who tend to, fall forward. I think I've mentioned, I'm already noticing it with my daughter and that whole little group of preteen girls. For some reason, they all just they think it's cool to sit around like this. And I look at them, they're all sitting that way. I'm like, no, girls, no, because guess what? You're collapsing your ribs and your lungs are not able to expand the way they should. So you're not getting the oxygen intake. It's crazy to think sitting like this, you're not getting the oxygen intake, but that's going to affect what's going on in your brain as well, and that's going to affect your emotions and all that too. So
yeah, see, and that's how posture is so connected to the rest of our body, right? Where it's like just this one little tweak will change everything within your body. So like from here to here can open everything up, from your airways to your brain health to how you're feeling to the cognition to everything, right? So it's posture it's deep. It's a deep thing, right? We always think like posture, who cares, right? But it is really important.
It is really important. I think it's a topic that will be kind of expanding on more in the future, don't you, Trevor? I think.
Yeah, I agree. I know. I think hopefully the viewers are interested in this, and we can give them more tips and tricks in regards to fixing posture. I wish I was live with people. I could manipulate their body and actually show them, hey, this is what real posture looks like. But that's the thing, is that we need to just continually educate our viewers, and hopefully they'll be able to take the tips and tricks that we show them and then apply them into their life.
Yes, definitely. All right.
Awesome. Is it trivia time? Is it trivia?
I think we're getting close to trivia time. It goes by so fast, man.
Yeah, it's a fast talk for sure.
So our question was Trevor's and my favorite movie as children. So Trevor, what's yours?
What do we have any guesses? Like, is there anybody in the audience that's guessing, or no? There's no.
No guesses right now.
No one. Okay.
No
so this movie came out in 1992. Okay. Now I didn't see this movie until probably a few years later, like 94, 95, 94. But I fell in love with this movie, and I love the actors in this movie. I like the story. I like the actual the protagonist and how he goes about like fixing himself and going through that process. But this movie was my favorite movie. Is Scent of a Woman. That's my favorite movie in the entire world, is Scent of a Woman. I've loved that movie since I seen it when I was around 13. I haven't watched it in a few years, but it is a really great movie. And Al Pacino with his hoo-ah, at the end, that's where that comes from. I think the storyline is really crisp. With Al Pacino, he had to train to actually, because it's about a blind retired lieutenant colonel from the army, and he had to actually go and train himself to look like he was blind. So he visited old retirement homes where individuals were blind, so he could actually see what those what they look like and actually be able to mimic that. So it's a very ingenious movie, and it was, I think he won an award for best. I think it was one of the best actors for that year. It was pretty awesome.
I still haven't seen that movie. I've certainly heard of it. I know it's been on before, and I just wasn't able to watch it. Your movie, I think, is probably a lot more. I'm going to say intelligent and higher caliber movie than mine. Mine, when I look back, I was telling Trevor before we came on that I recently saw this movie, and I was like, I mean, it's still good. It's not terrible. It's definitely got some cute parts to it. But mine is Splash with Tom Hanks and Daryl Hannah. And I love that movie. Mostly, I think I was really big into mermaids, when I was young, 11, 12, something like that. And, it's about a mermaid that goes to New York City. And I love New York City.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. And you know what? It's the movies that we choose are very interesting because it does show something about what we love and enjoy and those types of things. So I think that's really cool. Nothing wrong with Splash. It's a good.
Nothing wrong with Splash. Movie. Yeah. Okay. So Scent of a Woman, Splash. if you are watching and you put those in the comments, you will get a prize. And
Two prizes. One will be the coffee. Yes.
Two prizes.
Yeah.
And so we'll get in touch with you and make sure that you get those. So, Trevor, another week.
Another week wrapped up. Look at that. We did awesome, Kelly. Woo! It's so exciting hanging out. It's exciting hanging out with you for 45 minutes. I like it. I enjoy it. Right?
Very fun.
Yeah,
very fun. Always informative. I always learn a lot from you. So
there you go. That's awesome. I did learn something from you as well. So I like all the exercises that you with your hands and this thing with the neck. That's awesome. Like that's really good. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll be on Monday at 11 Eastern time, 9 o'clock.
Yep, Mountain
time. To reveal next week's topic and our trivia question.
Yeah, and guys, listen, if you want us to talk about something specific, let us know in the comments below. Like just, type it out and be like, hey, I want to know more about this or this. Because, you guys are our audience and we want to help you as much as possible. So you guys need to tell us what to talk about, right? We can guess. We can be like, well, maybe we should talk about this next week. But again, it's always great to get feedback. So tell us what you want us to talk about, and we will make sure to talk about it for that Friday coming up.
Definitely. And please make sure to like and subscribe and share whatever platform you're viewing this on. Please share and spread the word. We want to grow the biohacker way, and we want everybody, all of you guys, to become biohackers, because when you become a biohacker, you become empowered and you are a much bigger advocate for yourself. So we just want to encourage you guys, keep biohacking, keep spreading the word. And Trevor, anything else?
Biohacker for life. That's what you guys got to be. Like this is the thing. If we can just help just one of you guys, that's amazing, because that's really our mission, is just to help as many people as we can. And even if it's just one person that's listening right now or watching right now, if we can help you, that's a great win right there. Because we were just talking about wins at the beginning of our program. That is our goal. That's what we want to do. So yes, spread this to your family, your friends, and we're super grateful for you to watch within every 45-minute episode. There's lots of things that you can take away. And I see somebody here say for life. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. For life. That's what it is. This is
have a name. We'll have a name on that. So
yeah, it's all good.
We're in StreamYard, so sometimes they don't give us the name of the viewer. So we see you out there. We appreciate you very much.
So. All right. You guys have an awesome weekend. Have a great week. We'll see you guys next Friday. We'll jump on Monday. We'll let you guys know what we're talking about for this coming Friday. And keep on biohacking your body.
That's right. All right. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Have a great day, everybody. Bye.
Bye.